Hello, I'm Shelley of Complex Connections. We're a community interest company working with ADHD and autistic families, helping them to find more calm and connection. This month we're going to be talking about anxiety, and we all know that there are more and more of our children who are feeling anxious. In terms of what anxiety is, I'm going to focus on three different parts of it. The first is a sense of threat or danger, or the perceived threat or danger. So basically our children are feeling unsafe in some way. The second one is that they feel uncomfortable with their current feelings or sensations in their body, and they are trying to get away from those. And the third, which is linked to that second one, is getting caught up in the stories that their brain is telling them, be that stories about what has happened or stories about what's going to happen. They get caught up in those and they are unable to be in the present. What I'd like to do here is help us as parents to better understand how that anxiety may show in our children's behavior. Far too often we see the behavior and we put our own judgment on it, or our own perception of what's going on in that behavior. We may be triggered by it and we don't look for the feeling that's beneath it. If we are able to get curious, then we can look underneath the behavior and see what our child is feeling, which is causing them to act like this. I've chosen 4 different kinds of behaviors. I've chosen them all starting with the letter A, so that we can try to remember how that anxiety may show up. The first is anger. When we see our children being really aggressive or loud or disruptive, it's very easy for us to put our judgment on that and think that they are being disrespectful and aggressive, where actually what's underlying that behavior is that huge anxiety, and it's coming out as anger. The second one is avoidance. When we see our child looking disinterested, when they almost can't be bothered to do something, in our opinion, often what's underlying that is a huge anxiety around that task. And when we are curious, then we can see that instead of just the avoidance. The third one is apathy. And apathy looks like a complete disinterest, that can't be bothered kind of attitude. But actually underneath that apathy and underneath that perceived lack of interest is that anxiety around whatever they are being asked to do. And the fourth one is agreement. And in agreement, we see a child who is very compliant, very able to do whatever they are asked to do, never puts up a fuss, and yet that itself can be a real cover for huge anxiety, where our child is pleasing us or pleasing people around them in order to help themselves to feel less of that anxiety. So in our nervous system, we know that at the top of the ladder, we have the rest and digest state. When our child's brain feels safe, they will be in this rest and digest state, the state where they are calm and are able to engage, they are able to smile and play and do all of those things and learn and be curious. That is the rest and digest state. Their body is in that state, their digestion is able to function optimally. When their brain feels unsafe, it sends messages to their body to take them into one of those autonomic nervous system responses, one of those defense states. This might be fight. Fight is when they are fighting off the danger, so you will see that big energy. Flight is when they are running away from that danger. Freeze is when they are avoiding it, when they are protecting themselves by shutting down. And I've added in an extra one here, and that extra one is fawning. Now, fawning isn't necessarily an autonomic nervous system response, but it is definitely a coping mechanism, and it is definitely a response that gets used when we feel that by people pleasing and by appeasing the people around us, that is a way to stay safe. Let's think of those 4 behaviors in relation to the nervous system. Again, at the top of the ladder, we've got our rest and digest, that lovely, relaxed, calm, engaged state. When we move into fight, this is where we see that anger response. So this autonomic nervous system response is all about fighting off the danger. They have a big energy, they may shout and swear and slam doors and throw things. That is about fighting off that danger. So that is when you will see that anger. If they go into the flight response, this is the one that is the avoidance. This is the one where they move away from things that they perceive to be dangerous. So they may hide, they may shut themselves in their room. It is still a big energy, it is still movement, but it is getting away from what feels unsafe. So they will avoid those things, like avoiding homework or tidying their bedroom, something that feels overwhelming. The third one is the freeze response, and the freeze response is the apathy. That is where we see that complete shutdown. They are protecting themselves, they are going into themselves. It's a very low energy, and that is where we see that complete disinterest, that avoiding of answering questions. It is that apathetic response. And the fourth one relates to the fawn response, the agreement. The agreement where they will do anything that anybody asks them. They are completely compliant. They let go of their own needs in order to please others, because that is what helps them to feel safe. Let's think about how we can help our child's nervous system to move back up the ladder. So from that fawn, freeze, flight or fight, how can we help them to come back to regulation? The first thing that we can do is provide safety and connection. The second thing is to help them to focus on their body, how it is feeling, and their brain, just to help them to understand more. And the third step is to put that understanding into language and learning about themselves, learning about what they can do to support themselves. So let's think about that safety and connection first. And I've divided this into 3 sections. First one is listen, the second one is laugh, and the third one is love. Just to try and help us to remember these. Listen means that we provide a safe space for them, a place that they know they can come and talk things through or feel their feelings, even if they're not talking them through. Just a safe place for them to come. We don't have to fix it. We don't have to make everything okay. We don't have to make the bad feelings go away. We are just providing a safe and supportive space for them. The second one being laugh. This relates to play. We know that our child is able to learn things and experience things when we play with them, and it makes that connection so much stronger. So be it a physical game of tag or running or tickling if they like that, or a board game, or just sharing a joke. Those are things that really strengthen that connection and help them when the energy gets changed. That energy of play is really beneficial for them. And the third one is love. So it's that support, it's that encouragement, it's that acceptance. Listen, laugh, and love to strengthen that connection. The second thing that we can do is we can help our child to recognize the sensations in their body. So it's getting out of their head, it's getting away from those stories, and it's getting them to feel what's going on in their body, to recognize the sensations that mean different things to them. This may be done through language, through talking if they're able to do that, but it can also be done through drawing, or just show me where you're feeling that in your body. Draw what that feels like. What color is it? What texture is it? How hot or cold is it? Just getting them to connect with those bodily sensations and just expand and just process that a little bit more for themselves. And the third thing is then to get them to talk about those feelings. So we putting it into language, helping them to understand themselves a little bit more. We know that when we are able to talk about things, we begin to regulate ourselves more easily, and we begin to have more of an understanding about it. So that putting it into language might be looking at an emotions wheel. It could be going beneath the surface of what that emotion is. How can we describe it further? How can we think about it differently? And this helps our child to be able to challenge and change the stories that their brain is telling them about what kind of a person they are or what is happening in a situation. They are then able to create new stories when they have more language to do that. I've created a free download all about anxiety, all about how it's shown through behavior, and you're able to download that and use it in your family. Just click the link below and you'll be able to get it there.